Alright, this is our first video, and this is going to be a longer video on the New Deal programs of the first New Deal. Now, I'm actually reading from the page I gave you here, so you have some of these things here, but I'm going to go through it. You're simply going to fill them in where it needs to be, because there's a lot of information here, a ton, okay? So, there we go. Now, one of the first ones here is called the Agricultural Adjustment Act, which actually set up the Agricultural Adjustment Administration. The whole goal of this one was to pay farmers for not planting crops. You wanted to make sure that they were creating a demand, okay? So they actually paid farmers to burn their crops and dump part of their supplies to actually drive the price up. I know that seems ridiculous and wasteful, but the whole goal was to do that. Now, this is one of the ones that was voided by the Supreme Court, made FDR upset. With Butler versus the U.S., they actually sued the United States saying that, are you allowed to do this? Okay, so Agricultural Adjustment Act. Now, if you notice, I put posters here about each one. This one here is pretty self-explanatory. Look for food, look for farmers, look for the AAA, and you should be okay as to what they're trying to do. The second one was called the Civilian Conservation Corps. Okay. Now, Civilian Conservation Corps took unmarried men 18 to 25, put them doing useful jobs in conservation of, and what was conservation again? Remember that one from FDR or from Teddy Roosevelt? It's nature. So you're going to plant trees, you're going to build bridges, you're going to do all these things. The goal was to prevent another Dust Bowl. So here they went on the plains, they planted millions of trees with the hope that we'll never have another Dust Bowl. And knock on wood, we have not had one since. So that's Civilian Conservation Corps. So look for, if they talk about Civilian Conservation Corps, they have the CCC. They might have a man with an axe, trees or something, anything like that. And that's what that one's all about, okay? Our third one is called the CWA, the Civil Works Administration. Now, this employed people in useful construction jobs. They repaired schools, they laid sewer pipes, they built roads, and this was actually discontinued because some saw it as being wasteful and useless. And so there you have, again, protect your hands. You will work with them, the CWA, okay? So I'd look for something like that. Now, in that one there's really not much. Maybe memorize the jobs, I don't know. All right. Now, our fourth program is called the FDIC. This was to restore banking confidence. And so when you went and put a deposit in the bank, you were to have it insured, and so that people would actually feel comfortable again banking and not wanting to put the money under their mattress or anything like that, if you remember that part from Cinderella Man. This one is still in use today, and so you'll go into a bank or you'll see on TV and they'll say, member FDIC. That means they're a part of this group. Now, our fifth one is called the Federal Emergency Relief Administration, or FARA. This supported millions of households and funded unemployment projects, provided vaccinations and literacy classes. And so, maybe remember the vaccination and literacy classes. That's what makes this one unique, outside of supporting the families, okay? The next one is a big one, okay? The National Industrial Recovery Act. Now, this whole act here was to get people going and try to do this, try to get the industry back on its feet, and it gave us a symbol. You can see there the blue eagle with the gear and the electricity, and so it gave us a new symbol, a new hope. Now, the program to come out of this, the Blue Eagle, was called the National Recovery Administration, or NRA. And then we had a slogan here, we do our part. And there's actually a really interesting video we're going to watch in class by Jimmy Durante called Give a Man a Job. It's kind of a hoot. Now, this one actually is struck down as unconstitutional as well, with the sick chicken case that we'll actually look at in the critics, the Schechter Poultry Company versus the United States. So I'll leave it there for that one, okay? The next organization is the PWA, and I put the wrong program on it. I apologize there. The PWA are Public Works Administrations. Okay, this was also created by the National Industrial Recovery Act, which we talked about a second ago. This is both industrial recovery and unemployment, and this one is really specific. The Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco was part of this. So if anything, just look for that Golden Gate Bridge, and that was a really important thing of this public works and where we're trying to go. All right, the next one we had was the TVA, the Tennessee Valley Authority, and this was electricity for all to bring to the Tennessee Valley. They use hydroelectric dams and things like that to revitalize this area and to bring all these things. We also had jobs, low-cost housing, reforestation, and other services available through the Tennessee Valley Authority. The next one we had is the Federal Housing Administration. The Federal Housing Administration was to stimulate the building economy by providing small loans for home construction. So if you wanted a home, you were able to have one, and this is why. There is a related program called the Homeowners Loan Corporation. So if the federal housing was to give the builders money, this is now to make it where you could go and get a home. So all these things are together working interchangeably. Okay. Now, the next to last one is the Indian Reorganization Act. This is also sometimes called the Indian New Deal. This is to go against the forced assimilation of the Dawes Act and actually return some traditional values and tax breaks and things like that to the Indians. And we have it here, and then again in the 1930s it's taken away, 1940s, and it leads to kind of the fruitation we're at now with the Indians, and that is making up for the way that they were treated early on. All right. The last program of the first New Deal is called the SEC, the Security and Exchanges Commission. This is a federal watchdog to protect public and private investors from stock market fraud, deception, and insider manipulation on Wall Street. It's still in existence today, and it's kind of the reason they have to go, and they have to give you an annual report of how the stock is doing. You can track it. And if the stock is doing bad, you can get out and everything like that so that you don't lose all your money. Now, I may have gone through those kind of fast. You might want to go back through them and look them over again. But those were the New Deal programs, the first New Deal. Now, there's a second video along with this, and they are the second New Deal programs, and that will be the follow-up video behind this one.